Hello, Internet. Today with me, I have the lovely Miss Rhonda Stock, who is the first farrier I have ever met. So, Rhonda, thank you very much for being my first, but also for my first farrier, but also thank you for being my first interviewee. So, the way this is going to go, Rhonda, is I'm going to ask you 10 questions about what it's like to be a farrier, and I'm going to ask you 10 getting to know you questions, and then we're going to play a little game called Artsy Fartsy, okay?
Okay.
Alright. So, my first question is, Rhonda, Miss Stock, can you tell us what is a farrier?
Okay, so a farrier is someone who looks after the health of horses' hooves. So basically trims them. Horses have to get their feet trimmed regularly, so trims them, looks after issues that they're having with their feet, and helps people decide what is the best way to handle any issues they're having. Some farriers also will put shoes on a horse. I'm a barefoot trimmer, not a shoer, so I don't actually do the shoes. I follow the barefoot methods.
All right. And what exactly does a farrier do step by step?
Okay, so the first thing that I would do when somebody brings their horse out is I watch it to see how it's moving. So then I can see if there's any issues they're having, if it's lame, if it's limping on one foot, that kind of thing. Then I pick up their foot and I clean it out. And I usually start on the left-hand side, because horse people are creatures of habit, and we always start everything on the left-hand side.
Oh, I learned something new. All right.
So I start on the left-hand side, pick up their front foot, and clean it out. I've got a hoof pick for that. You clean it out. Then I take an assessment of what the hoof needs. So I take a look at it and I see, okay, you know, it's how long is the toe, how long are the heels, what kind of issues are there, potentially are there cracks, are there, you know, all kinds of things. So I take a look at it and decide what I'm going to do. Then after that, I usually get out my nippers and I use them to take down the heels first, so I can get the heels to the right height. This is for a general trim. If they had like a serious problem, it'd be something different. But so I take down the heels, and then I bring in the toe and I shape the hoof into the way it's supposed to be.
All right.
Then I address things like the bars of the hoof, which are the support structures on the sides, and those sorts of things.
Oh.
After I'm done that, then I set the hoof down and I pull it forward and I rasp it. And
what is rasping?
so I take a large metal file basically, and I scrape it along the hoof wall to get rid of any high points and to balance it out properly, to make it smooth and get rid of any sharp points that they might hurt themselves on, and try and balance the hoof properly.
All right. All right. And what made you wanted to become a farrier?
I have absolutely loved horse hooves ever since I got into horses, like 11 years ago. And so I just find them really, really fascinating, and it was something that I had studied on my own for a long time, and I'd started trimming my own horses, and I just really, really like hooves. I'm weird.
And I noticed you like horses. We
Yes,
have a lot
yes,
of horse theme
yes.
going on here.
Yes, horses are my favorite thing in the world. One of
I
them,
see.
Anyway.
And how much does it cost if I wanted to hire a farrier or hire yourself?
To hire me, it normally costs $50 for a regular trim per horse, and if it's a specialty trim, like if you have a pony that has hooves that are huge and it's going to take me, you know, an hour to trim them or whatever, then that starts at $70 and goes up depending on how long it takes. Okay. So that's the general cost.
I see. And is there a difference between like small hooves or big hooves, and is there a difference between animal to animal?
For the most part, what I've found so far anyways is that like a miniature horse, they have very horse-like hooves, and so they're just on a smaller scale. A pony, their hooves can be a little bit different. Like they're the same general structure and everything. It's just that I find that pony hooves tend to, in my experience so far, be a little less healthy than miniature horse hooves.
Oh.
And then a horse's hooves generally are pretty similar across all breeds. I haven't found any major differences there. A donkey's hooves are quite different.
Oh.
They're a lot more upright, and they're actually made of a couple of cylinders that move independently, so the front of the hoof and the back of the hoof can move independently, which is why they're a little like mountain goats.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, I learned something new. All right, and let's see. What is the most surprising thing that you have learned by becoming a farrier?
I would say the first time I got to do a hoof dissection.
Oh,
So,
okay.
it was on a dead horse, obviously.
Let's hope. Yeah.
And just actually, because I studied the pictures and everything to see what the inside of the hoof looked like, but to actually be able to peel the coating off the hoof and see the internal structures was a real eye-opener. It was like certain things that I had kind of known a little bit in my head just made more sense when I actually physically saw the hoof come apart and everything. So that was probably the coolest thing.
Question number 7 is always a silly question. Silly number 7. So the 7th question is, would you rather have hooves than feet? What do you think is easier to clean?
I think I would rather have hooves than feet, because then I wouldn't have to put shoes on. I wouldn't have to wear boots and things like that, even in the winter time, and I hate doing laces. So, and my work boots have laces, so if I just had hooves, I wouldn't have to do laces.
And I guess so I have a follow-up question is, what do you think high heels for horses would look like?
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah. Can you imagine putting 1,200 pounds on a stiletto?
Well, I'm sure if I tried to put on some high heels, it might get close to that. So we'll see. And I guess my next question is, what is the best or most ideal material for horseshoes? But you were saying that you don't put on horseshoes. Do you believe in the whole shoeing of horses, or?
I'm personally not a fan of shoes, just because they really restrict the blood flow to the hoof, because they restrict its ability to flex. Because a horse's hoof should be a moving structure. It should be able to flex properly, and the number of blood vessels and stuff in a hoof is just amazing if you ever get to look at a picture of it. And so every time they step, the hoof is supposed to flex, and that pushes the blood down into the hoof and back out. Once you put a metal shoe on it, that really restricts that. So I'm not a fan of shoes. There are some instances where they are necessary, and I know if I ever ran into a case like that, I do know people who do shoeing that I can call on. But if you were actually going to put a shoe on, they have some new rubberized technologies and things like that now that do allow more flexion than an iron shoe. So that would be what I would probably direct people to, although I'd be more inclined personally to direct them towards hoof boots, which are actually, it's basically just what it sounds like. It's a boot that goes on the horse's hoof, and you can take it off and put it on, and it provides that little bit of extra support that they might need while they're growing a thicker sole and stuff like that.
So I know it's not really your field, but in the cities, a lot of times I see like horse and carriages, or sometimes the police have horses. When a horse then I guess is on the cement, do the same rules apply? Like would they need like a horse boot, or are their hooves?
It depends on the horse,
right,
because the...
It's not an official question.
Yeah. I believe it is the Houston Police Department has horses in the city, and they have gone to all barefoot. But going barefoot when they're on hard terrain like that is kind of a whole lifestyle change, because they need to have proper feed, they need to have proper amount of movement, they need to have proper hoof care at regular intervals, be trimmed by a professional barefoot trimmer who knows how to set the foot up to be a barefoot hoof.
I see.
And to develop a good thick sole and all that kind of stuff. And there are endurance riders who ride in the mountains barefoot and things like that too, but the horse has to be conditioned to it.
I see. All right, and what would you want the uninformed people out there to know most about what you do?
It is absolutely necessary to get your horse's hooves trimmed, and minimum it should be done every 8 weeks. 6 weeks is even better, but every 8 weeks at a minimum. A lot of people, when they look at a hoof, they see their horse has been trimmed 8 weeks ago, they go out and they look at it and they say, oh, it looks okay to me. What they don't realize is that it's developed a lot more hoof wall than what they're thinking, and the bar on the hoof has grown more and all that kind of stuff. So if you can trim it at least every 8 weeks, you can actually see positive changes in the hoof. If you wait and do it 16 weeks, every time I trim your horse, I'm doing a setup trim to try and get it back to an okay condition. If I can do it every 8 weeks, I can actually make your horse's hoof healthier.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, my next question, actually, I guess you kind of answered with my last, which is, what is the best advice you have for horse owners on how to keep hooves healthy? Which I guess is just trim them every 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks.
Trim them every 6 to 8 weeks. Don't skimp on your trimmer. Don't skimp on trimming.
All right. All right. Well, Rhonda, that answers our first 10 questions about being a farrier. Okay. Now we move on to the getting to know ya section. All right. And these are just general getting to know you questions, okay. Nothing embarrassing. So what is your favorite word?
My favorite word is defenestration.
Oh. Why? What does that mean?
It means to throw out a window.
Oh.
And I don't know why, but that word is just really funny to me. And
say it again.
Defenestration.
Defenestration.
And when we were actually putting our living room window in my house, my father almost defenestrated himself.
Okay. Well, good to know.
And so I got to actually use that word once in real conversation.
All right. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color is green.
Oh.
Any kind of green. I've always loved green.
Mine too.
It reminds me of spring and trees and whatnot. But my very favorite color is lime green.
Ah.
I love lime green. And that's because it looks good on my horse.
All right. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food is a good medium rare steak.
Ah. I heard some people like their steak well done. What do you think about that with ketchup?
I think those people are on the road to hell very quickly.
I would agree with you. As a former chef, I completely agree. What is your favorite genre of music?
I've always been a bit of a country fan, but lately I have been diverging and getting more into rock.
Oh.
Not the real intense stuff. I'm not into like real hard rock, but just
classic rock, or?
Yeah, kind of classic rock or soft rock kind of thing.
Ah, I see. Do you have a favorite band or artist?
I would say my favorite artist. Well, my favorite artist of all time is probably Paul Brandt.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I've always liked his music ever since I was in high school.
From Alberta?
Yes.
All right.
Ever since I was in high school, I loved his music.
I think you guys were the same age in high school, I think. Wasn't he? He came out when he was 16, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. What is your favorite movie? Oh, sorry. First, what is your favorite genre of movies?
My favorite genre of movies would be action-adventure.
All right. And what is your favorite movie?
My all-time favorite movie is Jurassic World.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, awesome. Are you excited about the next movie coming up?
I am very excited about the next movie.
Have you seen the trailer?
Yes.
All right.
I can't wait.
Like 100,000 times?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have a favorite TV show or web series?
My favorite TV show, I like Murdoch Mysteries.
Oh,
yeah.
Set in Canada.
Yes.
All right.
I like, it's very cerebral and I don't know.
Yes, I saw the one with Tesla.
Yeah. But I love the science aspect and then also the history.
Yeah. Neat. All right. And are you a dog person or a cat person, or are you a lizard person?
Just kidding. I'm not a lizard person.
Sorry, I have to ask that to everybody.
I am...
Sure, isn't that what a lizard person would say?
Yeah.
They didn't want us to be a lizard person? But we'll just ignore that.
Yes, he is. I'm a little of both dog and cat person, but probably more of a cat person.
All right.
I kind of like the quiet nature of cats. I like to have a good dog following me around when I'm outside, but indoors I like my cats.
And I think we can both agree, though, you're probably a horse person.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
all right. And finally, what surprising fact do you think people might not know about you, but you would want them to know about you?
Aside from the fact that I trim horse hooves for a living,
And now we all know that.
Yes, I was a professional engineer for 16 years.
Oh.
And I write novels in my spare time.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. All right. So now it's time for Artsy or Fartsy. Normally, I have a bunch of pictures printed out that you can just see, but today I was unprepared, ill-prepared. All right. So this game is called Artsy Fartsy. I'm going to show you a series of pictures, and you just tell me your immediate reaction if you think if it's artsy or fartsy.
Definitely artsy.
All right. Our next picture, the Horse Whisperer.
Fartsy. I hated that movie and the book.
All right. And next, Black Beauty.
Artsy.
Oh. My Little Pony.
Sorry, I gotta go with Fartsy.
All right.
Fartsy.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Tom Cruise. Side saddle. Riding side saddle.
Artsy.
Oh, artsy.
Yeah, artsy.
All right. Nick Cage.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'll say artsy because there's some movies I like him in.
Right? That's how
Yeah.
I felt.
Yeah.
All right. Lady Gaga.
I gotta go with Fartsy.
I agree. All right. Do you know who that is?
David Suzuki. Fartsy.
All right.
Definitely Fartsy.
That's what I thought you were going to say. Oh, sorry. Yes. What do you think about this?
Those would be very fartsy.
All right. And this famous Justin.
Fartsy.
Fartsy. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Justin Bieber and Justin Trudeau. Both fartsy. All right. And Nickelback.
Ooh, that's a tough one because they got some songs I kind of like. I'll go artsy.
Oh, artsy.
Just because they have a couple songs I like.
All right.
And I've been really fartsy with everybody.
Well, I Want to Be a Rock Star.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess that's it. Well, Miss Rhonda Stock, thank you very much for being part of Heart-to-Heart with Hank, and thank you for having a Heart-to-Heart with Hank. That's me. And thank you for joining us here in your beautiful parents' living room.
Yes.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Rhonda Stock, the Ferrier, and I have been Hank. See you next time.